Live from Fox 5, welcome to the News Block.
Here are the top stories in the news block. Hurricane Melissa is tearing through the Caribbean, leaving behind destruction and loss. And the race for mayor is coming down to the wire. We're just 6 days away from Election Day. Wait until you see what the candidates are doing on the campaign trail today. And the NYPD is laying out security plans ahead of two major events, the annual Halloween parade and the marathon on Sunday. Good afternoon, I'm Duarte Geraldino. You're watching the News Block. We begin with the latest on Melissa. This hurricane is leaving a trail of destruction everywhere it goes, from Jamaica to Cuba to Haiti. We're following the storm tonight and the devastation it's still causing across the Caribbean. Now it's got the Bahamas in its sight. Let's bring in meteorologist Audrey Puente at the Weather Center for the latest. Audrey.
Well, Duarte, as you mentioned, it's been wreaking havoc across several areas of the Caribbean. The first landfall happened yesterday at about 1 o'clock our time in New Hope, Jamaica. The winds were at 185 miles per hour. That made it a Category 5 storm, which is the first one ever to hit the island of Jamaica. It was also on record as one of the most strongest storms ever recorded as well. Then it made a second landfall very early this morning after about 3 o'clock in the morning right near Chivirico, Cuba, with its winds at 120 miles per hour, making it a Category 3 storm. It did cause flooding in that area, as well as storm damage from all the strong gusty winds that move through that part of Cuba. That's eastern Cuba. And right now, as we look at the satellite and radar, we can see it's sort of moving away out of Cuba at the moment, and it's now heading towards the Bahamas. They've been experiencing winds today, and now the rainfall is now moved into that part of the Bahamas as well. A closer shot shows the system here kind of working its way through the southeastern portion of the Bahamian Islands here, and it is moving in a northeasterly direction. So we are anticipating it to move further out in the Atlantic as we go into the next 24 hours or so. Right now, as of the 2 o'clock advisory, the winds are at 100 miles per hour, making it a Category 2 storm. And it is moving northeast now at 15 miles per hour, which is a faster forward motion than we've seen over the last week or two. It is located about 150 miles south of the central Bahamas, but it is moving again racing actually in a northeasterly direction and getting close to Bermuda. Here's Bermuda here. It's just outside of the cone of uncertainty. However, that could shift as we go into the next couple of days. But right now, it looks to be that it will make its closest approach sometime on Thursday evening, again as a Category 2 storm, before making its way out into the northern Atlantic. So gradually, we'll see things improve for the entire area of the Caribbean and the Atlantic as we go further on into the weekend and into the beginning part of next week. But in the meantime, lots of records have been held by Melissa, and one of them happens to be the world record storm for the strongest storm so far in 2025, with its winds at 185 miles per hour. Duarte, over to you.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Dozens of people are dead across the Caribbean, dozens, and officials are blaming Hurricane Melissa. This storm is forcing hundreds of thousands of people into shelters as crews work to reach communities that have been cut off by flooding and wind damage. Fox 5's Linda Schmidt is live in the newsroom. Linda, what's the latest death toll?
Yeah, you know there, Duarte, this is absolutely devastating. At least 40 people in Haiti were killed, and many more are still missing. Now, in Cuba, about 735,000 people are currently in shelters. And even though Melissa has been downgraded to a Cat 2 storm, it is still causing even more damage. Take a look at this. Melissa made landfall in Cuba today as a Category 3 storm, collapsing houses, flooding streets and flooding homes, as well as blocking roads in the mountain areas. Now, the storm is still stirring up life-threatening storm surges, damaging winds, and flash flooding. And then in Haiti, those poor people, they are trying to piece together what little they have left. Flooding and landslides have destroyed parts of Haiti. And in Jamaica, officials say more than 75% of the island is without power today. More than 25,000 people are packed into shelters. It was the strongest storm, as Audrey was just talking about, to make a direct hit on Jamaica in 174 years. Now, President Trump was speaking, and he says the U.S. is deploying a disaster response team as well as search and rescue crews to help with recovery efforts. You are about to hear from the president. You will also be hearing from a couple from Chicago who was in Jamaica celebrating a family birthday and their 41st wedding anniversary.
First of all, we just want to send our heartfelt condolences to the families and the loved ones who lost lives during the hurricane, and the resilience of the people of Jamaica. That being said, we're just grateful to be alive, and we're praying for Jamaica's recovery right now.
But it was quite a harrowing event. I mean, it was something that we could not have imagined, nothing we've ever been through before, and the waiting was hard. We were fined a little bit over 36 hours in our room, and to hear the wind roaring and not be able to know what's going on outside was pretty nerve-wracking.
On a humanitarian basis, we have to. So we're watching it closely and we're prepared to move, but it's doing tremendous damage.
And as of right now, the storm is expected to bring some heavy rain and flooding to the southeast Bahamas. Duarte, back upstairs to you.
So devastating. Thank you so much, Linda. Turning now to the race for New York City mayor. We just got a few days left until Election Day, and candidates, they're hitting the campaign trail hard. Zohran Mamdani is getting support from the United Bodegas of America. This group represents about 14,000 bodegas across the city. Some owners are worried Mamdani's plan to open city-run grocery stores could hurt their business. Mamdani says he's talking with them about ways to work together, including giving bodegas a chance to buy produce at lower prices.
And just before, we were having a conversation about the way that streamlining regulations could assist bodega owners in the work that they do, about taking on some of the warehouse logistics issues, and also understanding the role that the city has to play in not being a burden on these same small businesses, but rather being a support.
Meanwhile, Curtis Sliwa spent the morning at the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. He was holding a press conference. He was responding to Republican City Council member Ina Vernikov, who says she's voting for Andrew Cuomo to keep Zohran Mamdani from winning.
But I would caution Ina that if somebody veers away from the Republican line to try to find Cuomo in that maze, ain't easy to find them. Are they going to return and then continue to vote Republicans? And I noticed how she begged people, please return to the Republican line. That's not reality. That's fantasy. But, hey, I depend on more than just Republicans. I have independents. I have moderate Democrats.
Andrew Cuomo was also on Staten Island rallying with the Italian-American community this afternoon. He says Zohran Mamdani not only disrespected the Italian-American community, but also the Jewish community and the NYPD.
I would like to say this sign of disrespect was limited to the Italian Americans, but worse, it's part of a pattern with Mr. Mamdani. He has been very offensive to the Jewish community in New York, refusing to denounce globalized intifada. He's been offensive to the NYPD in New York.
New Yorkers, meanwhile, are turning out to vote early. According to the New York City Board of Elections, more than 297,000 ballots have already been cast. Early voting, that is.